And we are live. Welcome to Robot Pigeon Panda. And tonight we have sour grapes and I'm just letting Pigeon get this out of his system.
Why the fuck does she get to go first in the introductions? Jesus.
Fucking favoritism.
We have sour grapes.
Fucking nepotism. Jesus. Search for favors.
We have sour grapes.
Because I actually had questions, unfortunately.
Yeah, but look where that got you. No,
I
yeah,
know, you know,
motherfucker.
questions. So evil.
And we have Pigeon and Serb.
Sup, Nigs?
I'm not wearing any clothes.
Well, that's nothing new.
Oh, okay.
We may have a very special guest on soon. We have yet to reach confirmation from him, so I guess you get one hint. It is one. But in the meantime, we do have some topics to discuss because there has been some things that have happened this week. Sour, I defer to you because you've done. Go for it.
Well, thanks. I know there are 4 important things that happened. I know Operation Skynet happened, and that was a rousing success. If anybody doesn't know, Operation Skynet is basically a way for people to try to follow other people in Gamergate. Really simple to use, just use the hashtag and people will follow you. Unless you're John.
At which point he just follows a bunch of people and they don't follow him back. It's great.
Hey, you didn't introduce Jess, by the way.
Oh yeah, you didn't.
Oh, I apologize, Jess. And this is Jess. She's been in Gamergate for I'm sorry, I forgot our last stream. You've been since the beginning, right? Or
I've been here since gamers are dead.
okay, then you've been here pretty much since the beginning.
Always.
Yeah.
And she's done a lot to promote stuff and such. And I'm dropping somebody. I apologize.
Weren't you part of Not Your Shield? Like one of the first people to be part of Not Your Shield?
I don't think I was one of the first people. I'm
No?
not going to use that as a claim to fame, but I'm definitely a part of Not Your Shield.
Oh,
Yeah.
take it. Take it. Every fucker's taken something.
So Operation Skynet was a success. Next is Jordy Tate's interview on King of Pole Stream. Do we want to talk about that?
Sure.
I think it warrants discussion. Yes.
Oh,
Laughing at cripples is always fun.
Yeah, I feel kind of bad in retrospect that we were actually fighting someone with both arms tied around their back, mentally, and with no legs. Seriously.
Yeah,
Gamergate doesn't class.
Doesn't seem a fair fight.
okay,
No.
if anybody doesn't know, I don't know how they wouldn't know, but if anybody doesn't know, Jordy Tate is a designer of mobile game content. He's mostly known for the creation of the game Ascension, Chronicle of the Godslayer, the iOS and Android versions. So he wrote for Star City Games. Star City Games the website went under maintenance. When it went under maintenance, I love how you're laughing about that now. When it went under some sort of maintenance, he got a little flustered over it. And when he got a little flustered over it, he dropped some major spaghetti.
It wasn't just regular spaghetti. It was that
It's
fancy
like
shit.
linguine or some shit.
It's that fancy shit that's on the top shelf in the supermarket that costs just a little bit extra.
Tortellini.
He basically thought Star City Games was going to, or had already deleted his author page. And he says, well, let me just read the beginning of it. If you're going to delete my author page, then you might as well delete all of my articles. Consider this a request to do so, and my final thanks for hosting all my work over the years. No hard feelings. I assume you had some problem with something I said on Twitter about hashtag Gamergate. Guess what? Fuck hashtag Gamergate. And he goes on a huge tirade about Jews and the Holocaust and women, and it basically this is basically it. He believes that women, the plight of women, is so great, it exceeds that of the Holocaust, Jesus dying, and any other kind of tragedy you can name. No, and he's very serious about it. He's very serious about it, and he believes that Gamergate is a hate movement, and thus he hates it, and hate using it in the most strong context, which means if it would disappear, he would be happy, and he would think the world would be a better place.
That's wording it very kindly. I'm pretty sure he said that we deserve to be
Yeah. I'm sorry if I sound like his
PR manager.
PR manager, but that's pretty much the gist of what he actually meant. He's an insane person.
He
and
does need help, in fairness.
He does, yes. I mean, that whole entire Facebook post was actually supposed to be. It was a mistake. He was not supposed to write that post.
Fucking dumbass. This is what you get for
They were not going to take down his author page at all.
Oh, so. Hi, Geordie. Just to let you know, this was a site-wide update for every author.
Yeah.
But you bye. Okay, then.
And so this person, Geordie Tate, goes on the King of Pole Hitbox stream. I think it was like for a good 5 hours, 4 hours.
Oh,
it was long. And it felt like an intervention. I don't know if I'm the only one who thinks that, but it was more of an intervention than an interview.
Oh, I didn't actually listen to that stream because I don't think you should give, like, that much attention to crazies. So you'll have to fill me in on the conversation. But I think I get the gist that he pretty much didn't retract any of the outrageous...
He didn't. He couldn't. He couldn't, because in his mind, just know this, in his mind, everything that he says is almost gospel in a way. Everything that he says has, in his mind, been validated by what? His mind. And there's no way any one of us would change that.
He's the righteous messenger of our Lord and Savior, Anita.
It's really weird. It's like that whole... I know I play tabletop, and you always hear about those weird paladins who have to be lawful good. That's sort of the vibe I got off him. But in like a creepy way. In an actual creepy way.
Yeah. Well, didn't he start off being like a bit of a basement dweller himself, and he got resentful that women didn't want to pay any attention to him, so he was a self-professed misogynist at one point. But I think that trying to compensate for that now, he seems to think that all women want to be patronised and taken care of, and then when you say that you don't, he's like, fuck you, get holocausted.
Something along those lines, yeah. But yeah, that's what happened with him this week. I don't think, looking at his tweets, I don't think he liked the way that interview went.
Oh, whatever. That's a fucking Arthur Chu 2.0, that is. Oh, I made myself look like a prick, but that's all your fault.
No, actually, Arthur Chu doesn't agree with the whole Holocaust thing, to be honest.
Yeah, he did actually come out and say that was out of order, so fair play to Arthur for that.
But, yeah. You have this guy now running around representing the anti-Gamergate side. I don't know if that's necessarily fair, to be quite frank.
Well, it's not fair for anti-Gamergate to say that people are sending death and rape threats representative of us, but that's what they say, so they should own it.
So, yeah, that was the oddest part of this week. At least... I mean, I don't know where these people... If anyone in like, if I was part of that group, how the hell would I let this guy just run around representing that side?
I think I'm not going to say anything. Part is that somebody from Blizzard would like the statement on Facebook and is now saying, "Oh no, it's perfectly above board." How the fuck do you try and talk your way out of that?
I don't remember who she is exactly, but I know there was somebody, yeah, on Blizzard.
Kate
Wait, what?
Gary, is it?
Yeah, she's like the was it senior copywriter at Blizzard? Who was
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna totally like this before even reading it, probably.
That's probably what happened.
It's probably a
I-
case of TLDR, but if that's all that it is, then say that. Don't just deflect and go, oh, well, you Gamergate, fuck you. Well, you're not doing yourself any favours.
Oh, did she actually deflect with that, or I didn't know if there was any follow-up to people calling her out on that.
People have definitely called her out. Gemma Morgan has cancelled a Blizzard subscription over this, but Blizzard still
Yeah.
haven't commented on it.
Wow.
Mm.
Oh, man. I have no idea how they're going to get out of something like that. I really don't.
Well-
As someone who is a fan of Blizzard as a company and their games, like I'm a big Hearthstone player, this really disappoints me some of the things they've been saying and doing lately. I'm disinclined to really purchase from them because of the things they said, and that's not just me.
What has Blizzard said?
Huh?
What has Blizzard said?
They made some comments about they made some very neutral comments about Gamergate, pretty much effectively.
You're mentioning the CEO, the address that he did. Is that what you
Not
mentioned?
necessarily.
True.
They made a statement about how all harassment is wrong. Yes, yes, thank you, Captain Obvious. And then somebody else equated it to Gamergate, and he said, "Oh, look, they're denouncing Gamergate." So
Well-
now it's pretty much forcing their hand to say yes or no. What are you talking about? And still, there's been no input for that.
Well, you may also note that basically this guy reported that, and they didn't come out saying they didn't clarify their statement, even though several people on the forums brought this to their attention, and certainly the WoW community has been in talks about Gamergate about the situation going on. So,
But the Blizzard forums were censored, weren't they? People have been stopped from speaking there about it as well.
I don't mind that part of it because it is their own private website, so they can
Yeah.
do that. I think it's certainly a dick move, but it's not like the worst thing they've done in this. What I think their silence.
No.
Yeah, I think. Oh, hello, Matt.
And our special guest is on!
Oh my god.
Look
Haven't
up
you got the
that.
entrance music for this?
I don't know. Pigeon, do you have any music?
Oh, God. Right, what would be good music for my name,
Joking,
Matt?
Pigeon. I know your variety of music.
Oh, I know a good music for it. Right.
All right.
Yep, Monday Matt said.
Hi, Matt.
Hello, Monday, Matt. Welcome to Robot Pigeon Panda. How you doing?
I'm waking up. It's like 2 p.m. and I'm just like, fuck it. I'm waking up.
All right.
Hmm.
Well, we're doing it live, folks.
Yes, we are. All right. We were just talking about the Blizzard's response or lack thereof in the wake of some statements that were made. When the CEO came out and basically condemned the harassment that was going on for the past couple of months, they gave a very neutral statement, and many websites have said that, oh, they're condemning Gamergate, and we're talking about how basically they didn't come out to correct those statements because that's not what they did. They don't have an official stance on Gamergate, but other people are talking about it as though they do, and by extension, what they're doing is they're kind of implicitly what was it? They're kind of implicitly agreeing with them by their silence. Would you agree with that, or am I crazy here?
Well, I did do a video about this when it happened,
It's
and
Matt's video, actually.
basically what he's damned if he does and he's damned if he don't. You know what I mean? And that's precisely where they're at. That's actually, and that goes for any single website at this point in time. And I mean, if you look at it like, if you would have come out and said like, yes, I condemn Gamergate, then you have pro Gamergate that's going to be like, man, you motherfucker, what the fuck? You know, they'd get mad, right? They'd get mad. And then if he came out and he's like, no, it's not about Gamergate, you'd have the anti-side, like what? So you support harassment and doxing of women in gaming? It's like, he's fucked either way. Because if you make a stance on it, a public stance on it, you're going to get heat from either side. It's not flack or harassment, but there's going to be a lot of noise thrown your way because it's that politicized of a discussion, you know? So the thing is, Mike Morhaime is saying, I condemn harassment, right? Jeff Keighley's the one that's like, well, you know, hey, thanks for addressing Gamergate head on. And then Morheime's like, you dick. Like, you know, if you look at his face, he couldn't say yes or no. He
does kind of have a, oh, you piece of shit kind of look at him.
And the thing is, like, Keighley knew that. Keighley knew that he put words in his mouth, and Keighley knew what he was trying to say. You know, what he could make the guy, you know, basically claim to say. And then every single blogger afterward was just like, Mike Morhaime confirmed it, as if he had like End Gamergate, you know, tatted on his chest or something, and he's walking around BlizzCon or some shit, you know, like with a chalice or some shit. I don't know. Fucking, I think he could do it like a pimp. But anyway, the point is that's that. Keighley put the words in his mouth, and then everyone jumped on board, and so they go, oh, obviously this is what they mean, and at no point in time is that specifically what he meant. He probably, seriously, it wasn't about Gamergate. You know, I would say that him saying over the last few months, there's been some shit that's gone on over the last few months, and that's Gamergate. And you know, there's been harassment on all fronts, and it probably was in relation to that, but he didn't come out and say it, so you can't put those words in his mouth that he did say it, and you know, I think it's fucked of Keighley to do that, and you know, that's just kind of where we are with it.
I can see that. I was just thinking that basically, yeah, you're completely right. This situation is way too hot for Blizzard to actually make a nuanced statement about it. Like, if they come out one way or the other, they're going to get a lot of flack. So I was not taking that into consideration.
Do you really think, though, that, like, out of the bulk majority of gamers, like, you know that more gamers support Gamergate than not, right? Like, the hardcore ones that know about it, like, I've talked to people that actively support it but can't come out and say it because they don't want to get involved. And you can't necessarily blame them for that. They've seen what happens when moderates get involved.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
one way or the other.
By the way.
They will have seen from shirt, whatever the hell it's called. What's the running hashtag now for shirt?
Shirt Storm.
Yeah,
Storm, Shirtgate.
Yeah,
I saw something today too. Somebody wants to do, like, they want to create on Reddit, instead of Gamer Gazi, they want to call it Shirt Gazi because we're calling it Shirtgate. So someone wants to create a subreddit on there for Shirt Gazi to go against people who support Matt Taylor. This is how delusional these cocksuckers are. I'm not even fucking making this up. I've gotta, like, I will find the fucking tweet here. Okay, so it says, yeah, at Striving Ally Rights, and this is like an hour ago. So Gamergate inspired our Gamer Gazi. Do we need our Shirt Gazi too to mock this controversy? And then someone's like, yeah, we need a controversy to mock Gamergate, and then they link to mock Gamergate, Not Your Shield, Sarkeesian Effect, and Mundane Met.
What?
Yeah, apparently, this particular person that made that last comment, they've been going around and trying to say that, like, the ACLU is going to come after me, that they're going to sue me, that I'm going to jail. Yeah, I get that almost on a daily basis from this person.
Hey then.
Well, that I know is nonsense because the ACLU is very adamantly freedom of speech. Like, they will defend Nazis for their rights to protest and stuff. So
yeah.
Someone as vanilla as you, they're not going to go after you.
Why do you think I'm so vanilla, baby?
No, it's just that people like to.
No, that's true. No, but that's an accurate thing. Like, I purposefully take that stance because that's how I am myself. You know, like, I try to look at things from multiple angles and everything, but I also realize that I can have an impact without being overly flamboyant. You know, like some people on YouTube, like, I used to do that. I used to get really angry and, like, you know, yeah, and, you know, screaming shit. And then that's not really who I am. So, you know, I kind of stick to a more moderate tone. because that's how I really am, and that's not acting. And so, yeah, they can't come after me. Like, I'm not even in, like, do you know how many times people have tried writing the DMCA out of Gamergate? Like, because I'm not at the forefront of this thing, they've tried to actually just, like, erase the entire thing of that. Like, I'm not even kidding you. And this is people in Gamergate that have done this too, that have been like, everything before August 27th means jack shit. You know, it's like everything before that, nothing.
If that was the case, then Game Journo Pros would be totally irrelevant, so that's fucking nonsense.
Yeah, it's kind of weird when you see how some of the people are trying to frame everything, and I just kind of sit there and laugh, and I'm all like, history is easily accessible at this point. You can find timelines of events, you can get all the information. Our side, the Gamergate side, are not the ones trying to cover up or suppress information.
No, absolutely
The other
not.
side are absolutely trying to suppress information.
Well, that's interesting. How would you define Gamergate, if you could?
It's a consumer revolt.
Okay.
It's a consumer revolt because that's what it turned into, right? Like, that's what it turned into, but it was always there. And I said this in a hangout last night. I've been thinking a lot about the origins of Gamergate and everything, and it's like we focused our attention on Zoe Quinn, which was wrong. Which was absolutely wrong. She
Should have focused on Grayson.
should have
in
been
my
Grayson. It should have been all about Grayson. But
Yeah.
Grayson basically was kind of like he didn't he didn't really respond. He was for a little bit, but not so much. And Quinn was jumping out there and jumping in front of everything and drawing all the attention to her. She's basically like the guy with the fucking whatever the flare was, like running after the T-Rex. I think in Jurassic Park or some shit. It's like, hey, look at over here, or like everything. Follow me, Christmas tree. If we're gonna go Running Man reference, right,
I love that film.
and that's kind of Sub-Zero. Now Plane Zero. Okay, I'm done.
Oh God.
But you've got that. Everyone focused their attention on her, and I'm guilty of that as well. Because at the time we didn't really know what was going on. We didn't know about Game Journal Pros. We didn't know about a lot of this stuff. This is all stuff that came out through the process of discovery and through exploration and everything. And at the time, people were like, they were angry, and the internet has a tendency of getting angry over things without necessarily understanding why they're angry. It's like you get caught up in the hype, and that's not hard, and this goes for both sides. It's easy to get caught up in the hype, and so when the hype hit hit critical mass, it was basically all bets are off at that point because there's no leader, because there's no true direction, because it's an amorphous blob, those aren't bad things, by the way, but that's just the truth of it. They had no particular way. No one really knew what to do besides kind of follow the person next to them, and that person was following the person next to them, and it kind of just went wherever it went, on a whim. And so yeah, our shortcomings in the beginning of this thing were not focusing our attention on Grayson, because the problem lies with him. The ethical problems lie with him, and that should have been the focus. But at the time, we had no idea it would be this. And that's our shortcomings from the beginning of this thing. I'm sorry.
If we go back, I like that part that you brought up the DMCA because I think that was integral to what actually happened. Why do you think your video was DMCA'd? Because I still don't know why.
I have got theories. And I don't even know anymore.
Okay.
Because because the thing is, here's what happened. All right, so I was sent the Zoe post on August 16th from a friend of mine. And
Yes.
she sent it to me, and she told me to read it, and I was like, all right, and I did a video on it. And then, the next day, August 17th, I started getting some traffic. Well, I found out where the traffic was coming from. It was coming from a Tumblr and Action thread.
Oh.
And the Tumblr and Action thread was not even about the Zoe post.
Oh.
The Tumblr and Action thread was all about the Wizard Chan Imgur links that flow around. That's what it was about. It just randomly appeared on there. Or somebody posted it. I have absolutely no idea. Because that's the thread where the TFYC post came talking about Zoe and doxing them and everything. Right? That's where the thread came from. Somebody also linked my video in that thread too, which is what brought a lot of people to the video. By the time it was DMCA'd the next morning, it had like 4,500 views. That's
Jeez.
nothing in YouTube time. That's for YouTube videos. That's nothing. But
That's
because
Burgers and fries video, is it?
No, mine wasn't. No, it was just, mine predated the burgers and fries or the Quinspiracy video by like 2 days.
Yeah, that's kind of what kicked it off, wasn't it?
Yeah, what kicked it off though was when the DMCA happened. All of a sudden, everyone like lost their shit, right? And so 4chan, I was on 4chan a lot, and I was in the IRC chat and everything, just talking to them and stuff. I was trying to figure out what the hell's going on, you know. And so people have like tried to accuse me of like organizing harassment campaigns against Zoe Quinn because I've been in that chat. And I'm like, I just went in there because this is where I could get information, you know. Like I wasn't like planning anything. And so you've got like. I went in there and I'm talking to them, and then they're all like, "Okay, Internet Aristocrat's doing a video on it. You know, Jim's gonna do it, man." And then everyone was waiting because on /poll, everyone loves Internet Aristocrat videos, and they were waiting for him to cover this and mock it and have fun with it because that's what they wanted. And then so he did his video, and you know, at the time he only had 140 some Twitter followers. Because he never used Twitter, and he had like 42,000 YouTube subscribers because of the Tumblrisms videos that he did, and you know, so he goes out there to that and he posts it, and then it's like a perfect, like all the elements of a perfect storm just kind of came together, and it just kicked it off. But his entire basis of his video was about Quinn. It wasn't about Grayson necessarily. He covered everything, but his primary focus were the 5 guys because that was kind of the running gag at the time. Because this is the internet and we laugh at stupid shit. You know, even if it's mean, it's spirited against another person's sex life, people will find a way to make fun of it.
So do you think that they were trying to cover up the wizard stuff then, some more?
I don't think they were trying to cover up the wizard stuff. That's already been out for a while. That was nothing new. You know, people knew about that. Like I saw that pop up on what was it, on Twitter like a couple days prior. Like I knew who Zoe Quinn was only through that thing. And I had read the I'd read the Game Jam article when it happened back at the beginning of April. So I read all that, and I knew that was, you know, I'd known her name from that. But other than that, man, she's a nobody. You know, she's a nobody. And now she's a somebody who's been on BBC, MSNBC, all these places, you know, pulling in like, you know, 3,000 so dollars a month on our Patreon. However, just to clarify something with that as well, if people choose to decline the payment to Patreon, it doesn't remove them from the list, from the supporter list, and not profit. And yeah, so I guarantee you, she ain't making that amount of money right now. People have probably done one-time donations, and she just hasn't removed them to lower the number. So that's something you guys may want to know about there. So I guarantee you, it is lower.
Did you hear, by the way, on the stream that me and Serbs helped with, called the Campfire stream, William Usher came on there, the guy who leaked the Game Gender Pros list to Milo. He isn't the initial leak, but he was the one who gave it to Milo. And he pointed us towards Brianna Wu's husband posted on Facebook about there's a legal defense fund going on for one of my wife's friends. Please support it to stop harassment. And if you donate to it, it goes to Zoe Quinn. And the same PayPal that... Sorry?
I did hear about that.
Yeah, the same PayPal that, you know, is used for a game jam and is used, you know... And it's not...
But they're all friends. Like,
yeah, and it's not illegal, but it does seem a bit weird that you'd be able to... I know, for the game jam, her own personal Patreon money, and the defense fund, that's all going into one account. Like, how are you supposed
to obtaining by deception?
No, because what was it? Brianna Wu's husband said he did specifically say one of her friends. He didn't say who. So it's not actually deception. I mean, it's pretty close, but you can't. Like, it's not anything that would stick in a court.
Saying it's going to a legal defense fund for people who are harassed and abused online suggests that it might be going to a solicitor rather than Zoe.
Honestly, what it's probably going towards is was it hanging up Aaron Goji in court, or however you pronounce his name. That's what I imagine it's going to.
I don't know. Yeah, but yeah, more than likely.
I mean, no, Aaron is gonna, you know, he's gonna pay legally for this and everything. And it's not like, I mean, it's not libel or slander if it's true, and he provided enough evidence to be circumstantial to at least have that going for him. And you know, and she's never denied it also. Because, you know, I think, but someone had suggested that, like, someone had suggested that she did not actually DMCA my video.
Did you actually say your video has been taken down at a copyright?
Yeah, but the thing is though, YouTube. I always thought that Zoe herself had had just something happened where she really she released it or something. No, it was actually YouTube looked at it and said no, this is not a legitimate DMCA. And everything, and so I was somewhat curious because I looked at the information again, and parts of it don't really add up. It's like why would she list the company name as the Quinspiracy? But there's other information there that was private, that looked legit, and stuff, and so it's like I don't know. And I talked to somebody who talked to her and asked her about it. And they'd asked her if she had done it, and she says, even if I had said no, no one would believe me.
Yeah.
Which is actually quite true. No one would believe her if she said no. And that was, when they told me that, I just kind of sat back and I was like, damn, that's true. And it's like, how do you process that as a person? Like, if you've been under attack for this thing that you maybe didn't do, but you have no way to prove that you didn't do it, it's like, shit, Now at this point though, it also doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's so long ago in the past. The Zoe post is officially 3 months old as of today, and yeah. No shit. What is it? Yeah, 3 months old. I was like looking. I'm like my math is wrong, but no, it's 3 months old as of today. And so it's like it's a moot point essentially at this juncture. And the thing is, Gamergate, we can't focus on the past anymore. They've thrown the sexist, misogynist, mainstream media blitz at us, all sorts of shit, and it's still going strong, and people are still talking about it every day, and things are happening every single day, and so it's like we've gotten past that point. We've kind of survived that tsunami, if you will, and now basically it's trying to find the time to move forward. It's finding things to talk about that will benefit the community versus trying to fight these people that are obviously not going to change.
No.
Yeah.
Well, all of these baseless accusations thrown around just make me more determined to dig my heels in, so please, by all means, continue to call me a racist and a misogynist. That couldn't be further.
I understand completely, and I'm not advocating against that. The people tend to think that when I say, focus on other things, that I'm not saying don't fight these assholes. I get that a lot, actually. It's kind of funny, but no, they say this shit, but at the end of the day, is Arthur Chu fucking relevant?
Absolutely.
No,
Not really.
not relevant at all. Is Ian Miles Chung anything more than a fucking reformed Nazi? No,
Well,
he's not.
What do you think the goal of the opposition is then?
The goal of the opposition is to break it apart. To try to cause enough disruption to maybe try to that's what the whole thing. There was that big push. Change the hashtag. It's marred in hatred. Change the hashtag. And I was like, no, you can't change the hashtag, because if you change the hashtag, this shit's gonna happen. It's gonna break up. People are gonna stay. People are gonna go. And there was a big push from pro Gamergaters in the beginning to change the hashtag. Prior, there was a couple of people that were really advocating for it and trying to get people to agree with it, and everyone. And then that person came back, which is pretty funny.
The next argument's going to be, oh well, that's a load of bullshit because we all know you're from Gamergate, so no, we're not changing the hashtag.
Something like that. I mean, you've got Steve Tom Sawyer said that he was physically assaulted by his I guess you could say his ex-girlfriend's drunk friends last night because he's pro Gamergate, and they determined that he was a misogynist. So they got drunk, went over and messed him up a little bit. Apparently, that's what he was saying. And that's fucking horrible.
Wow, that is absolutely brutal. That's awful.
Apparently there's video evidence of it. I haven't seen it, but other people have confirmed it.
He says it's legit, but we've told him to go to the police with it.
Absolutely.
So how at this point are we going to define the opposition to Gamergate? I don't want to define it based upon crazy people like Jordy Tate, but
I think it's mainly opportunists. It's mainly opportunists that are trying to, fix something that happened in their career or gain some notoriety from basically choosing what they consider the easy win by siding with mass media. It's very hard to fight mass media, so they're in it for the win now. And then you've got just people that are, zealots, basically, as Shirtstorm has basically proven that they actually want to try and change whatever it is they see as inherently wrong or tackle the patriarchy, inverted commas.
But you don't think that opposition might think that they have good intentions at all?
I simply don't think. Well, I don't think. To be honest, I think most of them are opportunists that are left now. The most vocal ones.
I think that the big problem is that a lot of people who have heard about Gamergate, they've only heard one side, and they're not. Most people don't have the time nor the patience to kind of look into Gamergate. So essentially, all they hear is, oh, it's something about harassing women. Oh, okay. So when someone talks about Gamergate, they go, that's that movement about harassing women. They don't know any better. That's just kind of the nature of the beast. And there's an awful lot of people like that. If they kind of came into it from the same angle that we did, I think it would be very, very different. But, a lot of these people that are coming in, on the anti-Gamergate side, probably saw these reports, probably heard people talking about it on Reddit or something, about how they've harassed Anita and Zoe and blah, blah, blah. And they think that that's the entire basis for Gamergate, and, they're the ones that we should be trying to change the minds of. There's always going to be the opportunists, they're always obvious. I mean, we've got, what's her name, the politician who tried to ride off her coattails a little bit.
Mackenzie Kelly.
Yeah.
Who's kind of just disappeared now.
Yeah.
Fine.
I still don't quite know what the hell happened with that.
Someone basically dropped a paste bin, I believe, with all the evidence of everything she's done online, and she's not a very stable person. Let's put it that way. So everyone kind of turned around and said, wait, you're bullshitting us. You're not running for a bloody office. And if you are, you'll get laughed out.
Wasn't she a writing candidate for, city council?
I think, apparently, that she also...
I think she lost to a stop sign, didn't she? Is that what I was hearing?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, somebody had to try and be an opportunist, and for our side, somebody had to try. I mean, there's still opportunists on our side now that are still trying to cash in. So,
Seb's just doing this for the Sargon Doorman. The Sargon Doorman title.
Oh yeah, I'm doing it for that. Where people tell me I want to be on that damn stream, and it's my fucking right to be on that stream. Yeah.
I actually have a lot of people that message me, and they're like, I want to get on a stream, man. How do I get on a stream? And I'm all like, follow Sargon. He does Gamergate call-in streams all the time, and you guys can go talk to him on there. Oh, cool. Are you gonna do one?
No.
If I do one, it's gonna be at 5 p.m. on a Wednesday. Hey, everyone on board, let's talk for a while. I don't have time to schedule shit right now. I'm getting ready to move. I think we just found our apartment, put down the security deposit today. So I move in a month, back up to Oregon. So I'm I don't have time to fucking to do these things all the time.
Now, Mundane Matt, you say you're a moderate. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. I would say that on the political spectrum, someone asked me the other night how I view the term progressive.
Okay.
And so my description of the term progressive is a person who is always looking for the best solution to move forward, be it the left or the right or centered. It doesn't matter where it comes from. Provided that it is for the betterment of everybody and not favoring one side or another. On that scale, I that's how I view progressiveness. That's how I view my political beliefs. On the scale of left or right, I'm somewhere left of center. I'm more liberal than I am conservative, but
Okay.
I'm not super liberal.
I was just wondering, is there a point the other side makes, the anti-Gamergate side makes, that you can at least somewhat agree with at all, or?
Well, the other side, the only points they have made has just been harassment, sexism, and misogyny, and that's it. Those are the 3 points.
Those are all bad.
Those are absolutely all bad, and they shouldn't happen. But what they also
I'm
look
not
at.
guilty of that shit, and I refuse to apologise for it.
Wait, which one?
Harassment, misogyny, all that baseless nonsense.
Yes, but the way they view it though is their description of misogyny doesn't mean the hatred of women. Which is what it means. They view
Whenever
misogyny.
I get unstuck whenever I try and throw down with them because I cite dictionary definitions of words and then they tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah, well, it's because they don't know how to read. I mean, they understand the chicken scratch that is Twitter, and that's where they get all their information from. And God forbid they actually take some time to learn. But no, I mean that's true. They view being critical of a woman is misogyny, and it's like, people have said that I'm sexist against Zoe Quinn because of my original video, and I'm all like, if you listen to what I said, I actually said remove all sexualities and all genders from the parties involved. Look at where they work and who they work with, and what and that's where this discussion should be, and everything. But because it was about Zoe Quinn, and that people were saying all these things, like they talk about like the nude photos and everything getting leaked around.
Yeah.
Some guy purchased those for $10 and put them on 4chan. That's what happened with that.
Yep.
And so it was like, and I was in the thread when that happened, and I was going like, this is like stupid as shit. Like, this is fucking pointless. This is 4chan doing what 4chan does. But
the
again,
internet, this is exactly the kind of bullshit that happens to people.
yeah, but they view the actions of one person as representative of the whole. And that's what they do, and it's like, but you can't throw the same amount of criticism back to them, because if you're like, well, look at Jordy Tate, he's basically calling for the gassing of all pro gamergaters. He's obviously
Don't be ableist though. You can't say that's wrong.
But then they come back with, well, there is no anti side. There's no anti here. There's just Gamergate and good people. That's and I've seen that too. It's like there's no anti side.
I've seen it as well. Yeah.
And I just go like, well, you guys ain't the good people on this one. I mean, look, I can atone for the dumb shit I've done. There's a difference, though. I can atone for it and try to be better from it as a result. Ian Miles Chong gets on Twitter and starts whining about how people are digging up the fucking pro-Nazi sentiments from his past. And he's like, he didn't even say, I grew up and I tried to become better. He's like, I just stopped doing it. So you should forget about it as well. And it's like, the internet never forgets, man.
Well, not just that, but it was us evil misogynist gamers that encouraged him to be a Nazi in the first place.
Did he
He
say
can't
that?
even take responsibility for himself.
Well, he doesn't take responsibility for link brigading on Reddit. Like how he was a moderator that was posting his own links in order to get more traffic to his site.
Yeah.
Gaming the system, and yet like Gamer Ranks is still running around. No one tried burning that down when that happened, because this is all shit that led to what Gamergate is.
Wait, so Elos Miles Chung is guilty of basically gaming the system? You can get a lot of shit for that. Like,
Yeah.
Dude,
There
there's
was this-
fucking Daily Dot articles about him. There's a ton of articles about
Already
him.
was in it.
Nobody gave a fuck.
Yeah,
wow.
a lot of people are just trying to make amends for. I mean, this can even extend to the flack that Will Wheaton has had in the past, and the flack that Joss Whedon has had. They've all had flack at some point, and this is, as I was saying, it's just an easy win in some cases because there is Gamergate and there's good people. That's what.
Well,
You
the
know,
difference
it's-
is Will Wheaton is just I don't even know what to describe him anymore. Like, there's words I don't know what they are. A dummy is basically, I think, the nicest one I could say about Will Wheaton. Because the thing is like during the whole PAX situation, I think right before Gamergate took its final form, in terms of names. He was tweeting about it being like just misogynistic, and then there was a ton of responses, people talking about the ethical problems in games journalism, and then he like took a photo of that, blurred out their names and their user profile pic, and then like mocked them on Twitter, and it's like, you just don't get it. And the thing is, like, he writes about like how we should no longer have anonymous people on the internet. We should it should be tied to your fucking name.
Oh, yes. People never get trolled on Facebook, he fucking showed.
It's odd considering the fact that Will Wheaton has been around in like the blog world since 2001 is my earliest recollection of him doing that. Because I ran into him at Comic-Con, and he gave me a flyer to check out his blog with a webcam. Like, oh, you can watch Will Wheaton live blogging at 2:00 in the morning. Like, that's not.
Oh my
I'm not
goodness.
gonna jerk off to that before bed. It's just, what I mean? This is not, I don't care about that. But then as he's progressed into it, and you guys have to understand, the reason why Will Wheaton is so big on Twitter is because he's recommended to you by Twitter. Because he was one of the first quote-unquote celebs to use Twitter. And so when they want
You have to put nerd in front of that celeb, because I think that amplifies it a lot.
Well, before the whole nerd thing happened, before the nerd culture rebirth, it was him and Ashton Kutcher and like a handful of other people. And so that's what pushed Will Wheaton to get that many fucking Twitter followers. It's just people who are just like, I need to follow like 10 people. But if you look at even Will Wheaton's like daily correspondence with fans, it's a small fraction. It's a very small fraction. It's like 50-some thousand out of his 2.7 million, right? Like, he doesn't get a great deal of retention from his fans. You know, he just has the numbers. And because the way that we are conditioned to view Twitter is your social currency is based on how many followers you have. So it's like, I've got almost 20,000, right? So someone and I might be in a conversation where they might be kicking my ass in that conversation if I'm, categorically wrong. But many people will look and go, oh, well, this person only has 100 followers on Twitter. This person's got almost 20,000 followers. Obviously, the person with 20,000 followers is more right because they have more people. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the odd way we view it. Same with YouTube, is the way they view the YouTube subscriber count is like where you sit on the pecking order. And that's just kind of how it is. It's like it's a very odd way that we view those numbers. So, Will Wheaton is he's an asshole at this point, but
well, he always sort of was.
He always. I know. I'm going to quit Star Trek TNG to go focus on my acting career. Sci-fi movie after sci-fi movie after sci-fi movie.
Always playing the dick or himself.
Yeah, I know.
Another character.
I recently watched Eureka, all of Eureka, and every time Wheaton showed up, I was like, "We just skip this episode or any scene he's in. Let's just skip it." My girlfriend's like, "What? You don't like him?" And I'm all like, "No, I don't. This character is too reminiscent of who he is as a person, which is an asshole."
I can't even remember what else he's done. He did some role play thing on YouTube.
Today, he does tabletop, and he's renewing a third season, I believe, for that. And he mentioned that in his article, like the shill he is. I really didn't like that part of it. Like, he could have written the exact same article. I would have been like, oh, whatever. But he had to put that he was involved with tabletop, and that tabletop as an example of whatever cordiality between gamers is great. So thanks, Will Wheaton.
You're the savior of nerd culture.
The Gamergate bowling team going to be the Wesley Crushers?
Oh god.
Oh no.
You want to kill me, don't you?
Nah.
That's
only
What
if
we need to do.
Only we can go up against a Hellraiser themed team called the Pinheads.
Oof.
What they needed to do with Will Wheaton was Picard needed to fire him out of a photon torpedo bay. Seriously, just right at the Klingon.
Well, when he
Wesley.
got drunk and he started taking control of the ship, is that what the episode we're talking about, or?
No, it's just one of my. I hope this happens. Alternate reality.
I hope that happens too.
Yeah.
I would pay money to see that.
I would, I would as well. I mean, the thing is like, we put a lot of stock and faith in these people, and I think like if one of the things that like there's been the recent happenings, I guess you could say, with the e-celeb drama, and with Gamergate, has been a topic for quite a bit of discussions in multiple.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You're funny. You're funny because you're full of shit.
I've been waiting for 3 months for someone to say that to him.
That he's full of shit?
Yeah,
No, he says it all the time. No one just takes notice of Seb.
Yeah. Well, because he's too busy being Sargon's doorman. So.
Yeah.
That's okay. I'm too busy shilling. There we go on that one. How about that? All I do is shill 24/7 apparently. Secret Skype cabals, sock puppet accounts. That's what I do all the time.
How do you find time for all that secret cabal?
Well, to be perfectly blunt, it doesn't take me long to masturbate, so I can just get done with that right away and then go right into So it's just, it's really just about time consolidation and everything. And then when you get in the groove, it's just, you're just good to go.
Thanks
I don't
for the
know.
tips.
Hey, really, just remember, shaft, bottom, top, you're good. You're good. You know, you got a free hand, tickle the balls, helps out.
Anyway, moving on. I got another question. What was it? I'm sorry. I had, hold on.
Sorry, I have a quick question.
Fucking Panda spaghetti.
Well, I guess it's like 3 times an episode I have to fuck up. Anyway.
I have one actually, and it's about the Gamer Pro emails. And I know Mundane Matt, you've read them.
Yeah.
I'm going to assume that. There was a question that I think was extremely legitimate by one of the journalists. I think his name was Ryan Smith of Chicago, and he asked, where do you think the line is going to be drawn when it comes to sexual stories involving people in the gaming industry? And he references people like Josh Mattingly, and he references Max Temkin. And I was wondering, do you have a sort of a answer for that in a way? Because I know I'm never going to get an answer from Steven Sotillo.
Yeah.
And I would love him to answer this question.
Those will only stop being relevant when people stop clicking on them.
Well,
that's the God's honest truth, because that's how they operate. Watermelon butts.
Yeah.
You know, like that's the kind of shit they fucking do, and everything. Like, you know, that's the shit I do. Like, I look for those kind of stories to talk about as well. It's like that's how I got the Zoe Post situation. It's like that's
but
what a lot of
sexual stories involving men.
Yeah,
who,
but
you know, it's like, why didn't they talk about Nathan Gray? Why didn't they talk about anything? At least address it.
Well, they can't. Because here's the thing, Josh Mattingly, there's photo evidence of him harassing a woman, right? While drunk
Or
and
at
talking.
least attempting to flirt with her in the shittiest way possible.
Absolutely. Yeah, right. And the thing is, like, the thing is, they came down on Mattingly, but not very bad.
No.
They didn't come down on him as hard as they could have. And the reason why is because, in essence, he's a nobody. I mean, he runs Static. No. Look. If you look at Max Temkin versus Josh Mattingly in terms of popularity, people know who they are. People know who Max Temkin is. Credit Cards and Humanity, popular game. Indie Static's biggest thing this year was the Game Jam article written by Jared Rosen. And that was it, right? That article that went live has seen over 20 million times.
As badly as they did, and Brad Wardell. Why is that acceptable?
Brad Wardell was a more of a known figure. He was a face of a company, if you will. So he's a much larger target. You know, and it's something that like is not also involving journalism. Like Mattingly was known by all of these people, so they took it a little bit easier on their friend. Yeah, they were a dick to him, and they fucking basically got him to leave the company for a while because that was what he had to do. But they still took it easy on him for the most part. Max Temkin, he's not a journalist, so he's not. They know who he is, but so they know he can probably take the extra heat because it sells more or it pushes more clicks. I mean, look at the article Patricia Hernandez wrote. What I want to know is how did that go through an editor?
Exactly.
How did Tillo or the editor at the time look at an op-ed written by her telling a guy to not defend himself against a false rape accusation because it might scare away women from coming forward or men from coming forward to talk about being sexually assaulted? I found that morally offensive. Morally offensive.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
you have every right, every moral right to defend yourself against those allegations. Because if you don't, it looks like you did it. You know, and that's the thing. And that's me personally saying that is like I feel that that's the case. And having someone in the industry tell you not to do that, not to defend yourself, is such a gross violation, I think, of any kind of human decency.
Yeah, you're essentially being told that you're guilty until proven innocent, which is backwards.
And that is fucking Patricia Hernandez. That's what she does. And the fact that it went through, like this whole assault on Gawker thing, I love it. I love it. Because I like that they're getting
deserve it. They're arseholes.
You know, it's like this is the kind of shitty journalism that a lot of people are campaigning against. And one of the things is one of the reasons why multiple of those other sites, why sites like, you know, like Rock Paper Shotgun have kind of followed suit of what Kotaku's doing is because Kotaku has made quite a bit of money off of that kind of clickbait article shit because they come from Gawker, and Gawker also, you know, likes to have, you know, click-through links to all their other blogs that they run, and so they basically they create this weird circle jerk of clicks within their own network, which is how they get all that money. And so the idea is that they create this content that is, you know, it's sensationalist, it's borderline. It's tabloid journalism. It's all it is tabloid journalism.
No.
it's immoral, you know. I mean, well, yeah, it's immoral, but not illegal, and it's, you know,
No.
and so they can get away with it. I mean, like, you know, I don't know if you guys remember the show Who's the Boss, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, Jonathan, the little kid, right? You know, National Enquirer came across the fact that he was gay, and they were going to run a story about it. They were going to out him in the article or in an issue. You know, they contacted him to like get an interview with him before they were going to out him. They were going to do it anyway. Never mind this guy's personal life. Whatever. They don't care about that because they know that if they were going to be like, oh, little Jonathan from Who's the Boss is gay, it's going to sell issues, and that's all they fucking care about is that. And so it's like that's the problem we have with clickbait culture with these websites. And sadly, you've got to like, you know, is keeping up on the current events of what's going on and adding your opinion is kind of like it's what I do. I call myself like a commentator or a pundit for the most part. I think the best way to describe me would be more of a pundit because I talk about the things that that's going on, and there's nothing wrong with that. I try to look at things from more of a moderate perspective and not go all like crazy and shit, but that's what happens, and that's why people come to my channel. You'd be amazed at how many stories I get emailed from people asking my thoughts on, and it's like I just don't have time to do all of these, and that's just kind of how it goes. And a lot of people also from there, those other sites have their fans that send them the exact same stories, right? It's like, did you hear about this little thing that happened? Give your thoughts on that. And then they know that if it's a little thing, it has the potential of being big, and so they might talk about that and then draw the awareness to that, therefore making it go big on its own.
On that note, do you ever not report something specifically because you don't want it to get the undue attention?
No.
Okay. So
No,
like if
go ahead.
So like if there was like a story where basically it was just blatant clickbait, but it would be for a good video, you wouldn't have any problems like making a video on it?
It really depends on the topic. It really depends on the topic. If it's like gaming related, I might overlook it. What I thought you meant by the question is like, is there something like that's going to be like negatively affect me or something if I wouldn't report on it or something? I think that it's like if it's truly clickbait, because you can easily tell it's truly clickbait. What I try to do when I see articles like that is I try to read multiple sources. I try to read like multiple, one of the things that I found is awesome is if you, like, let's say, for example, come across a story on Reddit, like a thread on Reddit, that's talking about something as it's kind of blowing up. The internet is great for detective work. The internet is amazing for detective work, right? And so you can find, as you're looking through people's comments, you'll find the people that start looking, and then you can look at what they find, and you can determine whether or not that it's legitimate or illegitimate, and then kind of make your points from there. Like, you can find more information. And so I think that most of the time with these websites, they take a story and they will, they'll run it like a little paragraph or something. Like, here's what we've heard this rumor that this is going to happen. You know what I mean? And they put it out there trying to give validation to that rumor, right? And everything. And then somebody else might go and look back through like, maybe one of the developers had a tweet like 2 months ago, like a very innocuous tweet that hinted to this particular rumor, and then they'll find other people who have worked on the project have talked about these things. So then all of a sudden you've got the initial rumor going out, and then these internet users that find the relevant information that might connect it back together. When that happens, then I'm like, yeah, there's enough extra information here to where I'm not just regurgitating what the clickbait said. I'm looking into it further myself and trying to collect that information, and that's kind of that I think that helps out a bit more. Like, you're adding more to it, or you're trying to maybe disprove it or something. But it is usually a case by case basis, because you never know what's going to be big and what's going to be nothing.
Cool. On that note, dang, I must hold on a minute.
Have you dropped your spaghetti again, John?
No. As okay, no, I got it. As a commentator / pundit, what topics do you like talking about the most? Like, whether Gamergate or not Gamergate related?
Oh, movies and video games are my two top topics. Like the thing is, I'm a huge movie buff, like more than video games. I love movies like crazy, and so it's like to give you an example, I went and saw Guardians of the Galaxy when it opened. I went to the midnight show on July 31st. And on August 1st, I guess kind of inspired about thinking about the Marvel Universe, I decided to sit down and do a video where I talked about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, past, present, and future, right? Entirely verbatim. entirely verbatim, 71 minutes long.
Wow.
Of me nonstop, 71 minutes going through every movie, going through every TV show, going through what's coming down the pipeline, what I knew of back in August. Right.
Does that include animated series or?
No, just like the movie stuff, because the cinematic universe is the movies, is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it's the Netflix shows that are coming out. And it's that kind of stuff. And it's like talking about certain things what I liked about each movie, what I didn't like, things like that, going through the process. I don't know why I'm a huge, I love these movies. I love that they're so connected. So I did that. And then that video didn't get very many views. Most of my movie coverage doesn't get very many views. Simply because I don't care, because I'm just still, geeking out on movie talk, like even if it's just to myself. And so video games, I love video games as well, and then gaming is an emerging market. I've done games journalism before. I had one of the very first video game podcasts out there a long time ago, and before everyone else was doing it. And I've been in the industry off and on since 2000.
The hipster of podcasts.
Huh?
You're the hipster of podcasts.
No, I'll put it like this. I launched my first podcast the same week Kevin Smith launched Smodcast. So,
Okay.
give you an idea. And the thing is, at the time, we had no way of knowing how many downloads we got, and because we were going through the website that I was working for at the time, and we had no way of knowing anything because they didn't give you any analytical data, and the owner of the site had no way of knowing what it was. It wasn't until after we stopped doing the show for like a year, he was finally looking through some of the monthly data and came across the fact, he's like, oh shit, it's like, you guys are getting like 10,000 downloads a week. And I'm like, you fucking asshole. Like, why didn't you tell us this? And we continued going, and everything. And, like, it was fun. It was good times, but it's just, that's one of the things. Like, I feel like I have a knowledge of the industry and a unique perspective on a few things. I like to talk about it, and it's just part of the channel. I just do videos that kind of talk about what's going on and everything, and it works out for me.
When I get a chance, I'm going to have to listen to that Marvel video of yours, because I too can listen to people talk about movies all day, and also I'm a big fan of the superhero movies that are currently out.
Yeah, it's I think there was like one mistake I had on there, which was I screwed up Josh Dallas and Zachary Levi for the first Thor. That was my bad. But other than that, it's pretty much accurate. But I mean, it's like I've managed movie theaters. I've worked in Hollywood. I've worked on, I did social media consultation for a Rennie Harlan movie a couple years ago that went straight to Netflix and stuff. And, like, even some of my ideas made it into the movie, which I thought was kind of cool. I've done all these things. I lived in North Hollywood for a couple years and everything. So I really love the system, the business side of it, the creative side of it. So for me, movies is what I love to talk about. But game information gets way more views. And I'm passionate about games, so that also helps as well.
Okay, that's cool. Quick question. I've noticed that basically you don't used to do a lot of videos on Nia Sarkeesian, and now you don't. Why is that?
What more can I say? What more can anyone say? Truly, we know who she is as a person. We know what she's done. We know how they've deflected it. We know everything. She's a broken record is all she is. If you look at any one of her speeches, it's just like, I was harassed. Here's my website link to donate money. That's what it is. The XOXO Fest she did, the talks in Sweden she did, everywhere else she's gone to speak, it's all been about, I've been the victim of harassment. That's it.
Yeah, I think any further acknowledgement of her work is just validation at this point.
Yeah. Plus, honestly, I'm friends with a number of people that talk about her constantly, and I got really burnt out on those discussions. I'm like, because all you're doing
is so much that can go around.
Yeah, you're just trolling her feed, looking for anything. Now, I've done a couple videos about her since Gamergate has started, but mostly because I'm absolutely fucking tired of her bullshit rhetoric. How can she actually go out there and say that sexism doesn't affect men? Like, it's a blanket term. It's nondescript. It's not womanism. It's sexism affects everyone. It can affect everyone, and the fact that she goes out there and pulls out its privilege plus power bullshit is disgusting. No person with a fucking conscience would even ever think that kind of shit, that the other side, that, you know, one group can't be victimized or assaulted based on the color of their skin or, you know, what gender they identify as.
Yeah, that's 100% prejudice. I don't care how you spin it. The men can be victims, white people can be victims, and the sooner everybody accepts that, that would just be great.
Yeah. But it's and that's what she does, and it's like, you know, she's, and what it is too, and you can tell though, it's all Macintosh is what it is.
Absolutely,
You know,
because you saw her on Colbert without the auto cue, she doesn't have a clue what the fuck she's talking about.
You know, and that's why I think there's a video with her from the Gamer X2 convention back in July, I think, where it's her and Carolyn Pettit for like an hour. And it's like, I watched it because I was curious to see. This is her unscripted. This is her at a Q&A. Now, granted, it was a heavily moderated Q&A, but it was all off the cuff. And this was her, like, she openly admitted, you know, she spends like an hour writing each tweet. You know, because she formulates it the right way in order, because she knows she's going to get a lot of harassment based off each tweet she puts out there. So it's like you can see a bit more into her, how controlling she is, or how controlled she is, and how precise she is, and how that plays into the narrative that she's been putting out there. So I find her being candid to be very fascinating to watch.
He spends an hour on each tweet. That's preposterous.
Especially with some of them seem so reactionary.
Yeah, I know. It's all, again, but it's the stuff that's reactionary is, you can tell that it's reactionary. This stuff like the sexism doesn't exist thing, that was one she sat there and collaborated, like, you know, you could tell that was one that took some thought.
Well, how did she think she was going to receive a good reception for saying it's no coincidence that the majority of school shooters are male?
She doesn't want a good reception.
Yeah, that's not in her business plan. She wants to kind of report.
If every gamer out there, you know, surrounded her, held hands, and sang "Kumbaya" every time she tweeted out something, it would destroy her fucking narrative. It would be like, no, what do you mean I'm not the victim of harassment anymore? Everyone likes me? Oh my God! Well, she went on Colbert and said people like her. So why don't we give into that? Why don't we just start giving her smiles and loves and hugs and kisses and puppies and shit?
Yeah, Saint Anita, she's brilliant. Sun shines out of her arsehole. We all love her.
You know, it's just like, that's the whole thing. It's these people run on that narrative because that narrative is profitable. Mm-hmm. And that is sad that we as a society have, one, let it get to that point.
Reward that childish bullshit.
Well, and the thing is, though, too, it's like the people that say shit on the internet, it's like, you know, harassment comes in all forms. The larger voice you have, the larger megaphone you are, the wider spread your message gets, the more harassment you're going to get. You know? I mean, it's just...
Wait, do you think we should have expected someone like Anita trying to infiltrate gaming in a way, or...
Yes.
Yes, we should have expected feminism to get involved with gaming, because
we should have expected
I can't believe it.
Well, no. Hold on. You have to understand. You have to look at it like this. Let's just take a second to go back 10 years. Let's just go back 10 years. Gaming as a whole, in 10 years ago, was like $10-12 billion a year industry as a whole worldwide. This year we're cracking $100 billion. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so all of a sudden now you've got an entertainment medium that outgrosses movies, and it outgrosses music, and it outgrosses so many other platforms. Right? There's money at play, and when there's money at play, and it is an untold amount of money that is easily accessible and grabbed right now, everyone from all walks of life are gonna come. People are gonna, you know, they're gonna come for the gold. It's the fucking next gold rush, because that's what everyone can talk about and make money doing it. So people are gonna come at it with their own perspectives, right? It's gonna be the feminism aspect of it, or the social justice aspect of it, or the the guy from Return of Kings launches his own gaming site that's gonna be doing gaming coverage without any feminism or social justice bullshit in it. You know what I mean? Like, you're gonna see people from all sides having these discussions, and then it's gonna be all those people coming together and trying to find ways to get to the top of the pile. You know, and so the legitimate people that are passionate are gonna, obviously the cream rises to the top, but there's a lot of other people there that are trying to do the same through dubious tactics, because there's so much money at play. That's what it boils down to. This is a business.
So determined for the IGF to just disappear.
Well, I think a lot of people are. And the IGF, what you guys have to understand about the IGF too, is the IGF they're not trying to vie for more power. You guys realize that, right? Like, they've already got the power that they want, they're just holding on to. They're not
Yeah.
trying to expand. They're not looking to conquer other realms. They just want what they have. And they want that power over the indie market because the indie market is emerging and it's becoming profitable. And they want to have that control over who gets to proceed through and be part of the clique. This is
So-
that all they're doing is just maintaining control over where they've had because they've been unchecked for so long, which is why looking into IGF and Indiecade in the wake of the Polytron hack and looking at those financials and seeing what's happened, as well as, you know, Maddie Bryce doing her bullshit and then having the IGF go, we're
How can
sorry,
you
please come back.
justify a judge like that? How can you justify that?
Because they received so much hatred from their own side, because social justice warriors or that particular side, they will eat their own at the drop of a hat.
Absolutely. You see them cannibalizing each other all the time for who's the most oppressed.
Yeah, that's all they do because that's what they have to do. Because to them, that's their social currency. Who is the more oppressed? And it's a sick way to live. And it's only going to affect them negatively further down in life, but that's where they're at right now because they've been unchecked for so long.
If there was a judge like Matty Bryce, who, say, was a man and said, oh, I don't know, I'm going to start ignoring all the games that have got brown people in them, people would be flipping shit. So why is it acceptable for her to say such disgusting things?
Because she was clearly joking, right?
She was being sarcastic.
Yeah, it's just lols, you guys. Ha ha ha, kill all men. Funny. Get the fuck out.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's a time and place for a joke, and Twitter's not the time and place for a joke.
No.
Unless you put the /S.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we know that you're kidding. Because
I'm
apparently
looking forward to the Hitler did nothing wrong tweet from you, Matt.
I'm sorry, what?
I'm looking forward to the Hitler did nothing wrong /S tweet from you, Matt.
Well, it did make it onto the front of a Mountain Dew bottle. So that I love that.
Even after the whole Matty Bryce thing, they're still trying to imply that this is all Gamergate's fault and blah blah blah. And judges walked out with her like all disgusting.
Well, they had to.
Justified.
Yeah, they had to. They're all friends. They all have to keep each other's spirits up, and they all left. I don't. That's what they do.
Yeah, no one's gonna weep for you.
No, but there's hundreds of judges for the first round of the game and shit. So
Yeah.
you know, like it's like, oh, one wants to leave. All right, fine, we'll get another one. But it's like they don't want they. What it was is they got a lot of flack from people on their side, and that's what it was. And they got bullied into apologizing for a person making jokes in regards to their company.
I'm really sorry that we had to reprimand somebody in a professional capacity because she was making my company look like shit.
Yeah. Isn't that grand? Isn't that just fucking grand? That's just like, it makes you just happy to be to be looking at internet culture and like, oh, apparently we're the bad guys. That's just like that's
funny
funny.
That Matty
It was
Bryce.
just funny when a media strategist just pointed out that, regardless of your sort of stance to, make light of the event that you're representing on Twitter in such a negative light, it's fucking like business 101. And I'm just so surprised that they didn't stick to their guns on this one, because just to save their image. Because she came back and fucking blitzed on Twitter again, just literally baiting people. It's fucking
Bearing
amazing.
in mind she's got historic kill all men tweets, so was that just lols as well, or was that serious that time?
Yeah.
You know what it is? She's just a misandrist like Samantha Allen and Anita Sarkeesian.
Yeah.
Just misandrists.
Samantha
No,
Allen.
Matt, no such thing as misandry, you're mistaken.
Matt, why do you think it is that a lot of these people buckle down under pressure of basic people with these kind of fringe views, where they're basically if you say something that offends somebody, something that's politically incorrect, why do you think it is that people don't stick with their guns instead apologize? I mean, there's been some cases where things are like offensive if taken in a certain light, but lately these things are widely considered inoffensive except by a very small minority, and that minority is not based on any protected group, but they shout loud enough and then they buckle down and apologize. Take, for instance, the Shirtgate scenario. So why do you think that the social justice warriors hold so much clout?
The best way I can describe it would be, imagine you're in high school. We've all been there. It all sucked, right? So you're in high school and you're in the cafeteria, and there's the table with the cool kids, and you want to be at that table, and that's what it is. Is you will do anything to be at that table, to be remotely looked at with some form of respect, or at least, you know, I guess you could say, what's where I lost my train of thought. But the point is, that's all what it boils down to. It's like a high school cafeteria. They are the perceived cool kids, and all of these other people are those who sit off in the corners, and they long to be like them. They long to be at that table, and the closer they get to that table, the more radical and extreme they become, because they want to fit in, and the only way to fit in is to be more radical and more extreme than the people that they're trying to emulate in order to gain their attention. I mean, look at Movie Bob, for Christ's sake. Movie Bob was that fat nerd in high school that really wanted to bang the head cheerleader sitting at that table. And, you know, he's going to put on his Mario, or, you know, overalls and stuff, and try to go out there and do it in her honor in order to get her to notice him. These people are like, they say, like, you know, one of the things is like, men can, you know, feminists come out and say like, oh, you know, men expect sex for anything. It's like, no, but the same mindset happens, at least in that regard, from what these wannabe social justice warriors do to the more extremist ones. They want them to notice them, and then as a result, they want that as a reward. They want that inclusion, that brought into the inner circle as that reward structure. And that's all it is, man. It's a popularity contest. They want to be at that table, and they will look at everything. I mean, Ian Miles Chong is like at the, I don't know, let's say he's at the very, like, he's not even at the table in my opinion, but he's right outside the table. Like, they acknowledge he exists, you know, like they know they know of him, but they're not letting him get too close, probably because of the whole Nazi thing. And but he desperately wants to be there, which is why he's always tweeting out the extreme rhetoric. Right, and then you'll see him get in discussions with other people because he wants to, like, be more extreme than they are, so then they can appreciate his extremeness, and then bring him into the fold. That's what they all want.
What it sounds like is kind of similar to mob tactics. It's that a bit extreme of me to say?
Yeah, that'd be a good way to look at it.
Yeah. It's I've heard that comparison before, but like when you put it that way with the high school analogy, yeah, it kind of makes sense. I mean, they're not necessarily committing crimes. Don't get me wrong, but
no, but they want to get in, so they're going to do the small shitty jobs. They're going to take the heat for their friends, or quote unquote friends. You know, like, it's the whole thing. Like, oh, you do this job, you get busted, you go to jail. Keep your mouth shut. When you get out, you're taken care of. You know, like, that's what they're going to do. Like, they're going to, you know. They're going to do that. And then now what we've got with Brianna Wu is a rogue element, right? Brianna Wu is a person who looks at that table and is like, I can have a better table than them. And I'm going to do my own thing over here. And the thing is, that table, they don't know what she's doing, so they're going to kind of like back her play, not quite realizing that she is looking to build her own table and everything that's more extreme than their table. And so we might see a bit of a fight happening, or we'll see if she starts to win, they'll start moving their tactics to mimic hers, which has kind of already been happening to an extent. What do you mean? Look at Cliffy B. Okay, so she was going to do this like legal defense fund, which makes no sense to me as to why she needs a legal defense fund. You know, last time I checked, if you're being sued, then you would need a legal defense fund.
Yeah.
You know, or charged with a crime or something. If you're going to put together a legal group to go after people who have like doxed you and harassed you, you're not defending anything. So that's what I don't get. Her terminology there was very weird. You know.
Well, Brianna Wu at the moment wants the Justice Department to look into Gamergate currently.
Yeah, I know. She wanted Senator Warren too, but that didn't fucking happen.
Yeah.
Well, what are they going to do? They're going to get there and go, oh, look, it looks like a bunch of internet slacktivists. Okay. And then they're just going to move on, right? Like, what would they really be able to uncover? Is someone making a bomb? Is there something that I'm not aware of? Operation Make It Go Boom? Anybody? No?
To just get the hashtag abolished, that will surely end all of her problems.
That joke was a bomb.
Well,
It was
the
awful.
FBI,
Ha! It was a bomb.
The FBI is not listening to this, so bomb, 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 bomb,
Pressure
bomb, bomb, bomb.
cooker, Boston Marathon, 9/11. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, this will be our last episode.
No, I'll just get that bagged. You can continue on without me.
Oh, I can hear the Blackhawks coming.
Fuck's sake.
Swing this
I
back
was
around.
only 9 when the Blackhawks. I was only 9 when the Blackhawks came to my village.
Okay, swinging this back around to game.
Mama Jihad. Sorry.
No, fuck.
Sir, shut up. Anyway, shut up, Pigeon. Swinging this back around to Gamergate. Where do you think we are right now? Like, looking back at what we've accomplished and what we've done, and looking forward to the future. Where do you think we're gonna go from here?
Dude, I have no idea, man. I honestly have no idea. It's where is the next logical step to
The
go?
next major hurdle is Black Friday, isn't it? That's what everyone's talking about.
The moon.
Well, here's the thing too. Black Friday basically, or like Thanksgiving itself, marks 3 months since the hashtag began. Literally 3 months. It's the 27th of November, 27th of August. 3 months.
I'd be very skeptical as to how much you'd see come from Black Friday, though.
Well, the thing is, though, Black Friday, man. I've been looking at the deals because my girlfriend is like, "You're going shopping, right?" And I'm all like, "Yeah." She's like, "You're gonna buy me stuff, right?" Like, "Yeah." She's like, "What are you gonna get yourself?" And I'm like, looking at that Xbox One deal for $330. She's just like, "Might as well." I'm like, "Wait, what? Wait, what are you talking about?" Like, we're moving. You're telling me to spend money? She's like, "Well, yeah, but you're not gonna have any money to spend when you move, so fuck it." I'm like, all right, awesome, thank you, love you.
I'm sure.
Like, girlfriend tells you to spend money on games. Yes. Yeah, it works out. But I don't know. It's like people keep talking about boycotts of games, and it's like there's been nothing organized. I mean, I think the biggest thing right now would be look at like what has happened with Ubisoft and it happened with 343 Industries this last week. This is stuff that Gamergate should be going after. Because yes, it's not necessarily just ethics in games journalism. It's poor practices by these companies against their consumers. And this is a consumer revolt.
Wait.
Go ahead.
What happened at 343?
Halo is broken, man. You could barely get one to play multiplayer. Yeah, for a game that has all four, the first 4 Halo titles, and then you've got all the multiplayer and all the shit that goes along with it. They've got you can barely get in to play a game.
Wow.
And that's been a huge thing right now with a lot of people too. Is they're really upset about that.
They just did a puff piece.
Game.
I think
They
GameSpot
just did a
lowered
puff
its score.
piece with Wired. I just read, was it Wolf doing, one of my friends actually wrote the article, and it didn't talk about anything about that at all, and it was quite sad. It just like fell into the pitfalls of, oh, so you're a woman in the industry, how's that working out for you? And I was just really, I'm sick of puff pieces. I know why they exist, but seriously, that should have been the top of the questions on.
Well,
why
Polygon
that's
and
broken.
GameSpot both lowered their score of Halo: The Master Chief Collection because of that problem.
Yeah.
But which is pointless because they're going to up the freaking score.
The second
The second it gets fixed. But it's like the thing is like the deal I'm looking at is Walmart has got the Xbox One and Halo Master Chief Collection for $330, and I'm like, that's a good deal, and I've got enough on a credit card to cover it, and I can pay it off in a few months. It's fine. So it's like for me, I'm like, that's fine. I want to get it. That's why I want an Xbox One. I'm a huge Halo nut. So there's that, and it's like, that is anti-consumer practices. Like I did a video yesterday. I don't expect any of you guys saw it, which is fine. About like we need to get rid of the holiday market saturation when it comes to games because they get forced into this release schedule, and then they can't. They have all these wild ideas to expand the medium or to expand the franchise that they're working on to incorporate new, bigger, better things, but they can't get there in time, and so the consumer then suffers because the consumer plunks down $60 on these titles, and 9 out of 10 times cannot return those titles once they've been found to be defective, and they have to wait for patches to come out. The patch for Halo doesn't come out till Wednesday. They've released 2 patches for Assassin's Creed. which have helped out a little bit.
Yeah. Those
But
atrocious glitches.
yeah, but then you've got another patch in the works right now, and it's like this is shit that should have been addressed. Like last year when Watch Dogs was delayed from November to May, people were upset, but the game still sold 4.7 million copies in the first week. Right? It sold that many copies. They delayed it and they made bank on it, even though it didn't come out in the holiday season. We're past that point of that now. We're past the holiday season point now. That doesn't even need to happen anymore. I mean, Destiny came out in September, which is not the holiday season. Huge fucking numbers. GTA 5 last year in September. Huge fucking numbers. It's like Last of Us was July this year. Sold a lot,
Another question, like in Gamergate, we have a lot of quote-unquote operations, which are really just community projects when you boil it down. What are your favorite and least favorite of these?
Let's see. I really like OP Skynet because I've been saying that all along. Like, we need to promote each other, so we also need to like talk to each other and get to know each other. And that really helps out in terms of kind of like spreading the message of getting pro GGers to talk to other pro GGers, so it's not just like everyone getting their information from one person, which I felt like that's kind of a big issue for a while. Is kind of like everyone like turns to like maybe a few of the key voices and gets all their information from them and doesn't communicate with other members. So I really like the idea of bringing more people together to talk. I think with more communication might come conflict from time to time, but we'll get more diverse voices, and those diverse voices might bring really amazing ideas with them that we wouldn't get otherwise. So there's that. My least favorite is probably OP Vox Populi. So, but my reasoning for not liking it, is not anything against Roguestar himself. I did not like the rhetoric used within it. I felt that it was too militaristic and too aggressive. And that's been my problem with a lot of things that have happened, is that people come at it too strong and too aggressive, and they don't understand that this is essentially a political thing. We need to play this smart. We're not going to win with brute force. It won't work. Because they're expecting brute force tactics. They're expecting us to respond the way that we've responded to everything. If we play it smart and we work the angles, they can't see where we're coming from. They can't predict what we're going to do next and have a defense mounted, right? And the thing is, because everything happens on Twitter, it's not hard to follow what's going on. Give you guys probably the best analogy I can think of. Did you ever see the movie In the Army Now with Pauly Shore?
No.
Yeah.
Okay, well maybe like one of you was alive in the 90s. So no, but there's this scene they get caught by the enemy dictator, by the enemy in the movie, and then he's watching CNN and a bunch of different news channels, and he goes like, "Oh, you have 24/7 news channels. I can see what you're doing any time of the day." Because the news doesn't realize that the opposition that they're reporting on also has access to the news, and they know what they're doing. Right, and it's like Gamergate is a public thing. It's on Twitter. It's accessible to everyone, and as a result of that, people can come in and look to see what's going on, and then they know what's happening.
Vox Populi, even though all that information was readily available, it was simply just a more organized email campaign.
It was a more organized email campaign, which is the only part of it that I actually kind of I liked, but it was the overly aggressive tone that I felt was going to send the wrong message.
I think Roguestar was just trying to make the point that they freak the fuck out at the most innocuous of things, whereas if they took 2 seconds to actually do their research like the rest of us, they would know it's not a big deal.
Possibly, but at the time, there were other things that were going on that were very much kind of leading to that. To like, you don't want to come at it from this angle.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of I don't want to say aggression, maybe like apprehension, frustration definitely, and kind of like the unknowing of what's going to happen next sort of thing, and that kind of got a lot of people really riled up.
Oh, it's part of the course, being frustrated in game.
Exactly. And so when that happens, you can't come at something with like with a brute force attack, because it's only going to exacerbate things.
Yeah, well, the number of times I've been approached and been issued with demands to apologise for a list of things that I haven't done personally.
Oh yeah, I get that all
It's
the
easy to
time.
be frustrated in Gamergate.
Yeah, I get that all the fucking time.
Yeah. Another question. Do you think that there's been a lull of advertisers pulling out within the past few weeks? In fact, Intel may or may not be advertising again with Gamma Sutra. It's really confusing whether or not just Google AdSense decided to put Intel ads on there and they can't help it, or if Intel actually did make a campaign, make a new deal with Gamma Sutra to have ads there through Google AdSense. I imagine that that is the latter is the case because Gamma Sutra wrote an ad about it, and I believe Intel would correct them if they were in the wrong. But it's still not clear. Point is, we haven't seen much success with Operation Disrespectful Nod, and I'm wondering if you think that's because there's been not enough of a push or not enough of a focus on that operation.
See, the thing with OP Disrespectful Nod is people give me a lot of shit because they think that I'm against it. I'm not against it, but I can't support it. Does that make sense? The reason why I can't is because I cannot, in my opinion, ethically create a video.
It's a conflict of interest, isn't it?
It's a conflict of interest, yes. I make videos. I live off the money I make off YouTube. I have ads. I can't make a video telling you to boycott ads on another place.
Well, it's in similar fashion to that petition about hatred, isn't it? From that developer that I'd never fucking heard of.
A little bit. It is. It is. I mean, I look at it as a huge conflict of interest, and we cannot expect change unless we're willing to adopt that change ourselves. You know what I mean? Like we can't expect them to meet us halfway for at least a discussion if we want them to do all the work.
Mm.
It's that's just how it is. That's how you can't ask anyone to do something you're not willing to do yourself.
Yeah.
And that's what makes us better than them. But a lot of people, they don't look at it like that. They want the other side to be the only ones held accountable for their actions, and it doesn't work that way.
No.
I think ultimately Christmas has had a part, obviously, in a lot of potential renewing of that ad anyway. I mean, it doesn't really make any business sense, and they always said that they weren't going to get involved one way or the other, basically. So, I don't know. I think we might see potentially more ads coming back to sites like Gamma Sutra just because of, the time of the year. I mean, Gamergate happened at the end of basically the summer slump, so advertisers could potentially take that risk. I don't know.
It's possible. I mean, I know that when it comes, like, let's say Google AdSense for November and December, there's a lot more ads, and they pay out a lot more than in, like, let's say January, February. January and February are pretty dead, dead months, and everything. So you've got all that. But I mean, yeah, it's I mean, you just gotta you gotta just kind of, we have to find ways to. I don't want to sound like Joe Biden here, but like reach across the aisle and try to find a way to come. No, because the thing is, like, there's the extremists on either side, and the extremists on either sides are the ones that get the most airtime, because they're the extremists and more people pay attention to the extremists. But you got people that are in the center. You have the moderates that a lot of people I've talked to simply want Gamergate to come to some form of resolution because they don't know where it's going next, and they
going to unless we can all speak to each other, but it's very difficult.
It is very difficult. You can't do it on Twitter.
No,
Can't
definitely
do it
not.
on Twitter. Twitter is really great for saying, like, hey everyone, I just took a poop. Look at this poop, and that's Twitter.
I Instagram all of my shares.
Hashtag not your shit.
I should take pictures of other ones because my ones make me feel insignificant. Yeah.
Like, yeah, you just keep taking pictures. Say hashtag I don't remember eating corn.
It's just, we've descended back into toilet humor. Oh dear.
That's what happens. It's what happens.
Yeah, it happens. This is a 100% serious show. I mean, look at the title. We're about Panda Pigeon. Anyway, Yes, in the chat, someone had brought up an idea that's been floating around lately. Alistair Pinsoff a couple Fridays ago wrote a Kotaku in Action article about it. Sunday that weekend, this Cyborg dev came on Sargon's stream talking about this idea. I've talked about this idea myself, I believe, and I even saw Let's Sail Hayton tweet out this idea of reaching out to developers and creating inroads between us, the consumer base, and developers to like bypass the journalists and to address the issues at large. What is your thoughts on this idea?
I think that it's an interesting concept, one that should definitely be explored. I was also contacted about that too. I just didn't have the time to dedicate to it. I like the idea of bypassing the journos, which is kind of where we're at in general. It's just bypassing those people. It's really
The middleman would certainly solve a lot of our problems, I think.
Look at Nintendo's Treehouse from E3, right? Best thing they could have fucking done. And we're going to see more of that this next year because of the response Nintendo's Treehouse got, right? Yeah. You're going to see, like, the fact is they spend over an hour dedicated to Smash. Fuck yeah, right? Like, talking about, like, the new characters, the new moves, showing off the new maps, having Q&A from Twitch with the developers. Bam, done. You know what I mean? Tons of views, tons of love, tons of respect. Nintendo had a newfound interest because people really liked what the hell was going on, and that's that. And then we need that from these developers. We don't need the middle guy to promote the product anymore. Maybe to report on it, sure, yeah, obviously there's always a place for them, to give their thoughts on the reviews and whatever, fine too. But like for taking the information, you don't need to go, they don't need to regurgitate press releases any further. You can just show them footage. Gamers want to see the footage. We don't want to read like a fucking press release.
Yeah. And in terms of reviews, Based Gamer as well is another one in the pipeline. But I think
I have my concerns about that though.
A lot of us here do.
Yeah, I've asked Jenny Barrage to do an interview about it, and I've gotten no response. So.
Yeah, I think people want more transparency before they invest in it. Since
she's already hit
people get burned.
Yeah, I too believe that Base Gamer is basically an idea that was originally floated down and rightfully shot down early on, called GAMR. That idea is what the problem with this idea that I see ultimately is. Let's not bring up issues about feasibility or pedigree. Let's just look at the idea itself. Could this idea work? No, because ultimately what you're going to do is you're going to take out one gatekeeper, Metacritic, and replace it with another gatekeeper, Based Gamer, which I don't believe will actually help. It'll just basically cycle out with the old boss, in with the what's that line?
Meet the same boss. Meet the new boss, same as the old.
Fuck
me, you did that so badly.
Yeah, I know. I listened to that song 100 times and I got it wrong, so I suck. So,
yeah.
Matt, what are your concerns with the Base Gamer? If you were feel inclined to this site.
Well, the thing is, okay, Gamer itself, right? Gamer itself had some good concepts. Damien Schubert had some good ideas with it. I don't like the person that is putting those ideas out there. I think he's disingenuous. He was creating it as a way to basically shut everybody up. Under the guise of this would be good for everybody. And I think that the fact that he put it out there and then was like, you guys can run with it instead of like working maybe with me, because he's a dev, right? He's a dev. So like working with somebody on the Gamergate side to maybe co-opt a piece about it might be more genuine to be looked at like that. But unfortunately, it didn't feel that way at all. It felt very much not like that. And that bothered me. So you've got I don't know, the Base Gamer, man, it says it's like Rotten Tomatoes, but in what capacity? That Rotten Tomatoes is an aggregate. It's Metacritic. We've determined that Metacritic is bad, right?
Yeah, we've kind of determined that it's completely useless for video games.
Yeah, it's
You know, having a review score of content aggregate sounds great in theory, but when it comes to things like bonuses for developers, it's absolute trash.
yeah, it is, and you know that's the problem with those. Is there's no information updates. It's been up now for like 3-4 days. There's been, you know, I've been waiting to do a video on it because I want to do a video on it, but I've been waiting for her to update. I've asked her on Twitter, asking, you know, basically saying like, hey, listen, this is what I think should be, you know, like, you know, are you going to update with the video? Are you going to have more information? And the response back was basically, why?
Really?
You know? And I'm like, yeah,
Really?
yeah. And people were asking like, what about other things involved with this too? And she's like, I don't really see the point of talking about that. You know?
Okay,
Like,
that's 50,000. You know, you're asking for there. There needs to be a bit more than a few lines. I'm sorry.
Yes,
That's a lot. I just personally think if you're asking that of a community that's, you know, been through quite a lot, you know, in some cases doesn't have that kind of
Look, can I
sorry.
just try and say, yeah, sorry. I think the thing is with Gamergate is that we've kind of learned to be very skeptical of anyone who comes out and tries to tell us that they know best for us. So kind of, you know, by essentially saying, oh no, this is a really great idea, okay, can we question you on it? No. You're not exactly helping us out when, let's be honest, we've been burned by celebrities before, like these e-celebrity kind of people before. Not Jenny Barrage, but others. So
no, I don't think this. Whatever. Yeah, I have nothing against Jenny.
No.
I think she's coming at it from a very.
We have a huge amount of skepticism now from everybody, though. So I think, you know, I don't know. Maybe it
I think
probably
it's
is completely
healthy.
legitimate. Sorry?
I think it's healthy to have that that sort of skepticism after everything that we've seen. If we hadn't have had that skepticism, I'd be bloody worried.
Really fucking naive.
Yeah, it'd be ridiculous to just go on like, cool, that's fine. You know, I'll just put some bugs down without, you know, full explanation. I mean, seriously.
Satori in the chat mentions that there's going to be Jenny Barrage is going to do an AMA about this, though. So
But not until like the middle of the week. So from what I'm hearing, but then even then it hasn't been confirmed. She talked to. I've heard that she had reached out to the Kotaku in Action mods, but I can ask Kat. See online.
Definitely. We should definitely try to get in contact with her. Maybe she can release more information of what she plans to do with this project of hers, and maybe then we can find out where it's going and such. But other than that, really, we can only speculate unless you want to talk about the name, which Base Gamer I don't think anyone's going to buy into, to be honest.
Well, I just want to say, someone saying this seems like a balance of power issue. Someone said that in the chat, and I'm like, what? Really?
You what?
Oh, that's if that's what he's trying to sort of insinuate. I don't know. I'd like kind of an explanation of that, but still.
I'm sorry. Wait, who is?
Oh, just someone in the chat said that this seems like a balance of power issue. Operative G, and that was it. That's it, without any sort of explanation as to why he would think like that. So.
Well, I can interpret that one of two ways. There's one way in which it's basically about infighting, which I'm not going to get into, and the second way being, if it's a balance of power issue, then it would be, I guess, between us, the consumer, in the consumer revolt, journalists, and game developers. Maybe that's, I think that's what he kind of meant. If that's the case of being a balance of power, I think that Base Gamer will start off as a very small weight, and it's not going to really mitigate any of the problems if it's going to be on our behalf. And also, if it is on our behalf, I don't know, it just seems very, very problematic, to use a term the opposition loves throwing around.
No, most definitely. Anyway, moving on from the Jenny Barrage stuff. Served, can you do some juggling?
Yeah, I am still naked. I might get my balls, just out. Everybody wants to see me juggle my balls. Oh, somebody says yes. Oh, maybe that was to the question, but no.
I think that was to the question. That was Operative G. Balance of power issue. What was he implying?
Yeah,
I think he was
saying
replying yes to what I said.
Okay.
Okay,
Well, you said a
so
lot of
that's
things
that.
because you're
Mundane
forgetting
Matt,
most
I'm a
of
little
them.
curious about something. How would you like to see Gamergate end? I mean, it is fun, but how would you like to see Gamergate end?
I'd like to see it end with a bang and not a whimper. You know,
Okay.
like the rate it's currently going, it's one day just going to kind of fizzle out essentially, because that's just these things cannot sustain themselves indefinitely. 3 months is fucking an eternity in internet years. It's like I at the beginning of this thing I called it gaming's 100-year war, and it's very true as to what that I feel that's true at least.
I mean,
don't
would
know.
you like to see an apology given or anything?
Yes,
Like,
yes. We
I
need
think
an
everyone,
apology.
wants that at this point.
I think we need an apology from not only Totillo for his absolutely disingenuous bullshit. I think that Grayson should be forced to give an apology.
Yes.
For that article and everything. And I think that a lot of other people should be, like, basically those two are the ones, really. Well, okay, in a perfect world, Totilo would be fired.
Yep.
Totilo would be fired, not because I think Totilo is a bad man. I don't.
No.
But I think that Totilo is just, he doesn't want to deal with it. And I think that he, at this point in time, simply wants it to go away. And he's taking the heat for something that one of his employees did.
Well, he's in a position of responsibility, so he can't really try and fudge the issue.
Oh, but he has, and that's the problem.
Yep.
See, that's just it. I mean, all I want is just Totilo to answer the question, where's the line going to be drawn? I'm never going to go on his site ever again. So all I want is an apology, and that's about it. And they won't acknowledge anything. So there you have it.
Yeah, no, I know. That's the thing. They're not gonna actually do it.
Well, no. To admit culpability at this point would just totally piss on everything that they've said for the past 3 months and would just make them wholly unprofessional. So why would they do that?
Yeah, they're not going to come out and go, "Hey guys, you know that thing that we started? Yeah, my bad. My bad, Totilo."
That's very true. It's very true. You've got all those issues and everything. I think the downside is essentially, we're going to have to just pick one or two sites that are on our side and then focus all of our attention on them, which is, I understand the point of Base Gamer, which is, I see why it's in the process of trying to be created. There's a list that somebody I think I just retweeted it too, a list of Gamergate recommended websites, and there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. We can have a wide variety of people covering gaming news. We don't need to give this attention to people like Kotaku and RPS and those other sites. Then you've also look at it like this. Look at what Jim Sterling just did. His bailing out of Escapist to go fucking pure indie is like I said in my video. It's every single journalist right now has their eyes on him.
It's smart, in my opinion.
It's very smart.
Yeah.
Because this is the right time for him. However, other people may not have that exact same that success. But what's going to happen is if he finds it to be sustainable, and if he is able to make this his full-time job and live off of it, then others will follow suit. And there was even that thing on Kotaku in Action where there was like apparently Facebook screen grabs where they showed Leigh Alexander suggesting that Jim Sterling do what Matt Lees does, which is precisely what Sterling is doing. And Matt Lees, the insufferable bastard that he is, makes he makes more money than I do, and I have more Twitter or more YouTube subscribers and Twitter followers now, and he makes more money than I do off of people giving him $2,400 a month on Patreon to do videos where he disables the ads and also disables all the comments and conversations. So,
Yeah.
and it's like these people, like the thing is, I don't want to, like as much as I want to do this to make a living off of, which is something I very much love doing, and I'd love to be able to pay all my bills off of it. I don't want to like go to the audience and be like, fuck you, pay me. Like I don't want to do that, and I get a little bit turned off when I see people doing it. I see the problem with AdSense because it's non-intrusive, and it's passive aggressive, it's passive income, and everything, and so it's.
Why don't you just start? Why don't you just start equating things to random things like Matt Lee says? I'd really like to talk about my hair, which is kind of like talking about feminism.
That's
and
floppy haircut.
I really hate that guy.
I want. Yeah, goddamn, fucking, that was good. I can't even make a
Been
joke
working on that
so
one.
fucking hard.
Did you see him on The Apprentice? I'm barely certain it was him.
I want to talk about my hair, which is like communism.
Oh dear.
Oh god, fucking looks like Wallace and Gromit. Looks like Wallace with mop hair. He's got a grin that only a shovel to the face would love.
All right. Normally we do go on for at least 3 hours for a show, but tonight is kind of different, so we're only going to do a 2-hour show. So that means we are going to have to wrap up.
It's called the John didn't have any fucking sleep because he's a fucking idiot.
Yep.
That's okay. I got work in a couple hours. I gotta run some errands before.
All right. Before you go, I just like to clarify something. Someone in the chat told me that Jenny Barage's AMA is going to happen Friday after next, so that's Friday the 28th. So there is a set date for that.
Oh, wait. Hold on here. She's gonna do 12 days from now. She's doing a fucking AMA.
Yes.
12 days from now.
Jesus.
Better late than never.
Wow. Okay. Well, then I'm not even gonna fucking.
I'll stick my foot in my mouth. It's alright. It seems a bit strange to leave it 12 days into funding to give an explanation for why and what you're doing and how you're going about it.
It kind of sounds like you have no idea and you need 12 days to kind of formulate it. That's what it appears like, but I'm skeptical and quite cynical and, take that with a pinch of salt. But
All right.
12 days, man.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw it out there for the record. And also, Monday, Matt, do you have any closing thoughts you'd like to give?
Just, be good to each other, man. Like, even if they're on the other side of the argument, just fucking, it's easy to fire off shots at each other from Twitter. It's super fucking easy. Believe me when I say I will type out tweets to, like, Arthur Chu and Ian Miles Chong that are just, like, venomous. I just don't post them. I'm like, no, because we got to be better than them. At the end of the day, we've got to be better. We have to act better. We have to lead by example if we want the media to look at it and just go, I think these people are full of shit by trying to say everyone here is misogynist and sexist. And it's hard to do because it's so easy to just fire something back from your phone or from your tablet or from your computer or whatever. But you've got to show restraint because we're fucking better. That's it.
Yes, I absolutely agree. And I'd like to thank Matt for coming onto the show, and I also like to thank Neckbeard Jess for coming on. Also Tara, who popped in, uninvited. That seems to be her theme. And also, thanks, Sarah. I also like to thank Sarah Grapes and my co-hosts, and of course the audience. So, with that, everybody say goodbye because we're going to close out.
Bye, everyone.
Wait. Before you.
Wait. We got music.
Oh, we do?
Because the stream's quite, we have to play some somber music, alright? Alright.
Okay.
Here we go.
What are we, dead?
Yeah.
For 3
This is the
months.
part where we jump the shark officially.
Right, where is it? Oh, here we go.
Good night, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Smoke weed every day.